Japanese work culture in the companies where people are stuck is very stiff, no confrontation, save face, lots of deference, be very, very nice. Don't confront people. Great. So I can't have a real conversation. I can't get in teams and have collaboration and brainstorming. I can't do any of those things. Here's what you can do.
The first step is to say, okay, we got to get started somehow. We need some energy to get started, right, to get unstuck. And the energy comes from curiosity.
PIVOT の竹下です。今日はですね、スタンフォード大学のビル・バーネットさんとデーブ・エヴァンスさんに話を聞きます。2人はですね、スタンフォード式人生デザイン講座という本を書いてまして、人生をどうデザインするのかというスタンフォード大学の人気講座の教えてるんですよね。2人ともアップル社でデザインに関わった後、スタンフォードでこのデザインについて教えてると。今日はですね、そのスタンフォードの特別授業を本当にPIVOTの皆さんにお届けするという流れでインタビューをしていきたいと思います。では早速お二人をお呼びします。
I'd like to kick off the interview by asking you what design means, because in Japan we use the term design, but it kind of means like a graphic art or designers. So please explain to us what design means in your book.
Well, I'll take a whack at that because you're right. Design has a lot of different meanings, and sometimes when I say I'm a designer, people say, "Oh, do you design, clothing, or do you design, like interior design, things like that?" So, I mean, we talk about design as really almost like a problem-solving technology. Designers are good at coming up with new-to-the-world things. When I was at Apple, I was working on the first laptops. When Dave was at Apple, even long before me, he was working on the first mouse. So, designers also can design things like the Macintosh and mice and, displays and stuff. But also, I teach design at Stanford for products like that and services. You can design banking services, but we really think of design and design thinking as a problem-solving method. Engineering thinking, if you've got a lot of data, you can engineer things. Business thinking, if you have some idea about the markets and the users, you can design business things. But designers really are good for designing new to the world things that have never existed before. And we have lots of techniques for prototyping and empathy for users and understanding people. And then when Dave and I got together in 2007, it was really clear that design was, like the most interesting thing to design is your future. So we took all of those tools for design thinking and just applied them to our lives. Empathy for ourselves, empathy for what the world needs, coming up with lots of different ideas for future lives, and it turned out to be a really nice fit.
Thank you. So in Japan, I suppose you wrote this in your book, but more than 93% of Japanese workers report themselves as disengaged in the company, and at the same time, they're not willing to switch jobs or start a new company. So we're kind of stuck in a dilemma. So very stuck. So could you give us advice? And you mentioned a lot of tips in your book. So could you give us some practical advice for those people who are stuck in their careers?
Well, I mean, I'll start, and then Dave's got some other things. I'm almost everybody who comes to a Designing Your Life class or a Designing Your Life workshop. We run workshops now for 20-somethings and people in their mid-career, and Dave's working with folks who are retiring and thinking about new careers and stuff at Stanford. Everybody reports themselves stuck somehow. But everybody's got a chance to be unstuck. And we say, well, first step one is, even though maybe, you think you have to keep this job, it's a safe job, you don't like it, but it's safe. Okay, that's fine. So one reason to have a job is to make sure you've got enough money to be, secure. No problem. And, that's not a bad thing. It's kind of a new idea that people want to be, happy and fulfilled in their jobs. Sometimes jobs are just for making money and you were happy in other things in your life. But if you're stuck, the first step is to say, okay, we got to get started somehow. We need some energy to get started, right, to get unstuck. And the energy comes from curiosity. It's a natural mindset of humans. All humans are naturally curious. But if you've been in a job for a long time, and particularly if maybe your boss is difficult or the job is difficult, you've sort of learned to not be curious or to not really think for yourself. Just do what you're told. Just do what you're told, and have as little friction as possible. But that's okay, because you can get curious about almost anything. You get curious about a hobby. You could get curious about maybe doing something on the side. Or you could just get curious about the other people that you're working with, because one of the other natural mindsets of people is to be connected, related. We like to work, we like to be on teams. And particularly in Japan, people want to have harmony. They want to have, peaceful harmony in the office. So get curious about the other people in the office and how might you engage them or help them. So curiosity is step one, and step two is to try little things. You saw in the book, we said set the bar low. Don't try to, change your life, change your job, change everything at the same time. Set the bar low. Let's maybe do one thing this week and see how it changes maybe my satisfaction, and then try one more thing in a few weeks. And if you're curious, there's always something you can try. And once you get going, everybody reports one of the number one things about the DYL method is they feel unstuck, because they feel like, hey, I've got curiosity. I've got a list of things to try. They're not very scary. They're small. And once I try them, I get new ideas, right? Because try something and you have some more ideas. It's my step. You want to talk about steps 3 and 4, Dave?
Well, no, what I actually can do is I'm going to back up a little bit, because, I think what Ryan is describing is there's a pandemic in Japan among the workforce, particularly the young adult workforce, of a particular version of what we call an anchor problem. There are two kinds of problems where people are, again, getting people unstuck is our primary job. We worked with a company called Creative Live to develop an online video version of our course. And the version of stuck with what we call a gravity or an anchor problem is really stuck. So an anchor problem is perhaps the more pernicious of the two, and that's the one you just described. And an anchor problem means I'm now anchored, like a big steel thing on the bottom of the ocean, and I've anchored myself because I stuck the answer to my question inside my question, except the answer I put inside my question is impossible. And the kind of weird anchor problem you've described is, Dave and Bill, I hate my job. Can you help me find another better job outside the company without having to leave? So I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to give up my salary. I'm not going to go through the scary process of leaving the big, Koretsu-based company. But so without leaving, can you help me get a better job at another company? No. I can't do that. I'm totally stuck, particularly because what you're really saying is, now, what do you do with an anchor problem? You accept the problem that you're stuck on, and then you reframe to a different problem. Like, okay, you don't want to leave. All right, we accept that. It's too scary. Fine. Hey, Dave and Bill, in this very constrained job description, working for this old school manager in this highly established, very stiff company, can you help me have a better time somehow? Oh, okay. And the answer to that is absolutely. We've got a bunch of ideas about that. Or, I really want a better job, and can you help me overcome the fear and panic of leaving my secure position? That's a very different problem. Now, either of those problems I can solve. I cannot solve, can you help me get a better outside job without ever leaving? Which is really what you're saying, your listeners are saying.
Yes, right.
Exactly. And I'm sympathetic to the problem. I really want to get out of here, and I really like my security. Pick one. So if you pick your security, by the way, there are little things you can do on the job. The first thing you can do is, even inside the job you have, these 3 things Bill mentioned: autonomy, relatedness, and competency. I want to feel like I have some power. I want to feel like I'm working with other people, and I want to feel like I'm getting good at what I do. Everybody wants those things.
Yes.
Inside your little job, all 3 of those things exist. So we have an exercise called the Good Work Journal.
Good Work Journal.
And every day, at the end of the day, you write down, if you've experienced them, answers to the following questions. Today, what did I initiate? What did I start on my own? Not every day you do, and today maybe it's nothing. Tomorrow maybe it's, I thought up a new report form for my boss, whatever it might be. So did I start something?
It can be that simple. Just
it can be as small as, it can be as small as I initiated a more efficient route on my commute. I found
that. Oh, great.
Or it can be as simple as I brought some flowers in for the break room to make it more beautiful.
Oh, okay. So
I initiated it.
I did that. I did that all by myself.
Okay.
I decided I did
I made a choice.
And my colleagues go, "Oh, thank you for the flowers."
That's good.
So,
it doesn't have
what
to
did
be
I
a bullshot
initiate?
idea.
Who did I help?
I see.
I helped Ryan put together his podcast. And what did I learn? Did I learn anything today? Meaning I'm becoming more competent. You write those three things down whenever they occur. By no means does all three occur every single day. At the end of a week, you look at your whole list and there are half a dozen things that worked. And then you go back and you go, yeah, I did that. You can't enjoy it if you don't notice it.
I see.
And if you don't write it down, you won't remember that you noticed it. It's all about paying attention. Designers are good observers. That curious thing, I am curious when I initiated, collaborated, and helped people. And if I write those things down, I get to keep them. We call it name it and claim it. If you name what you did and write it down, you go, that's mine. See, I did it. So you're in charge of your own experience of your day. The first thing to do is get out of your day everything that's there. Many people, while waiting for, I didn't get to live the DJ life today, so my whole life is horrible. Wait a minute. There's a whole bunch of good stuff right in front of you. For God's sake, get that.
I see. How long do you should keep your journal for? A week or a month or?
You can do that as a practice for the rest of your life.
Okay. But at least a month, because what you notice, the first couple of times you do it, you want to say, well, nothing happened. I didn't, my day sucked, like it always sucks. And then you'll go, well, I did bring the flowers in that morning and everybody thought that was nice. I could do something like that again. Or maybe, I'll bring in some, it's a moon festival. I'll bring in some cookies or, it doesn't have, or it could be, I help.
A colleague writes you an email, and it's one of the few emails that was well written, to the point, and clear. And you reply and say, Takashida-san, that was a wonderful email. I completely understood what you said the first time. That's a rare experience for me. I just want to say how much I appreciate the care you put into writing an efficient email. I wish we all did that.
I see.
And you just say thank you to somebody for that. You just notice that. And, and next time that person bumps into you in the hallway, like, holy cow. So you can transform your own experience with something as small as that.
Interesting. So after you keep the journal for, let's say, a month, and maybe there comes a question, should I pursue money or impact or maybe meaning? So these are some questions people in Japan are confronted. So what should we do?
Well, again, a lot of times people say, well, I work so much and I have no balance, work-life balance. Or, I could work for money, but there's no meaning in that. But if I had a meaningful job, maybe I was working in a school helping kids, but I don't make any money. So every time you ask a question, there's a built-in, a framework around that question. And this question is, there's only two choices. It's a binary. I have more money, I have less meaning. I have more meaning, I have less money. The world doesn't work that way. There are lots and lots of ways to get money and meaning and impact. And so one of our reframes is, work-life balance. No, it's not work and life. It's health, love,
Life, work.
It's work, love, health, and play. So it's four things, and it's a dashboard, and you can optimize it a different way. In the money versus meaning thing, it's not just money and meaning. There's money, there's impact, and there's expression. In the creative economy, people have the opportunity to express themselves. They
Yes.
don't get paid in money; they get paid in expression dollars, if you will, or impact dollars in the impact world. So when you can reframe,
quick example. Let me interrupt, Bill. So, Bill, I was just playing a brand new digital orchestral instrumental album by Michael King.
Huh?
He's a guy that I had coffee with years ago, and he read the book, and he does a little, digital, tech writing on the side, and he's always thought I should be a music producer,
composer, yeah.
and he realized he's not going to make a living doing that. And he read in the books, the only person getting in my way is me. And it took him years to get it done, but he just finished his first album, which he did completely on his own, completely on the side, completely for free. And he feels terrific because he has creative outcome.
So a lot of times these barriers aren't really there when you reframe the problem. So reframing is one of our mindsets. When you reframe the problem, just like reframe the anchor problem, give yourself freedom.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay in the false binary, if I have more of this and I have less of that, then you can't win. Your brain will automatically make it a zero-sum game. That's just the way we're wired. And then you can't win. So reframe out of those bad problems and pick a better framework, like, work, love, health, and play instead of just work, life. Look, it's life. It's life at work. It's life at home. It's life in my relationships. And the number one thing that gives you the sense that your life is meaningful and that you're going somewhere and that something matters is relationships. And what I'm concerned with more about than 93% of disengaged workers is the amount of loneliness that people talk about in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That people are deeply lonely.
Mm-hmm.
That some people don't even maybe leave their apartments because they're so lonely. We need to reconnect people.
I see.
That's where you're going to find that your curiosity should mostly be directed to other people, because people are the interesting things. And when you can collaborate. So he did his first album, by himself, and he feels great. And somebody's gonna hear that album and they're gonna say, I gotta call this guy. I love his stuff. And then he's gonna collaborate. And who knows? Maybe the album will go up on YouTube and he'll actually get lots and lots of people to listen to it. But you got to get you got to get in the game, and you can't get in the game if you're disengaged, if you're lonely, or if you just can't. Now look, I have tremendous sympathy for if people have actual depression or some kind of a medical condition. That's a different thing,
right?
Then they need to find some help. But most people can help themselves, like we're talking about, by just get curious, talk to people, try stuff is the next step, and then tell your story. And what Dave's friend did is he told his story. He wrote the album. He put it on
Yes.
for everyone to hear. That's so exciting. And he did it because he realized that he was free to do it. It just took, the attention.
He gave up I'm stuck here being a tech writer. I can't be a music producer. I guess I have to be unhappy. Says who? Wait, okay. No, sorry. Being, paid well to be a digital music producer is a really hard job to get. And you don't have the background. You don't have the connections. It's never going to happen for you. Michael, I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. But you can absolutely make music.
I see.
And easier than ever in the digital world. And you realize, I don't need an orchestra. I don't need a sound stage. I can do this whole damn thing with an app.
Right.
And he it's all orchestral music that he did. He doesn't play any of these instruments, but he plays the computer that generated all of them. So it's all that's mindset. There's a saying in Silicon Valley. Bill and I were product guys. Between us, we had 75 years of high-tech product development. And one of our old lines is, if you can't fix it, feature it.
Interesting.
Because if there's this thing you're stuck with, rather than be annoyed by it, can you turn it into a good thing? And so let's take, Japanese work culture in the companies where people are stuck is very stiff, no confrontation, save face, lots of deference, be very, very nice, right? Don't confront people. Great. So I can't have a real conversation. I can't get in teams and have collaboration and brainstorming. I can't do any of those things. Here's what you can do. People don't mind receiving affirmation. So rather than just say, oh, thank you so much, Ryan-san. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Take it to the next step. You can't fix it, feature it. Lean into being appreciative with granularity and detail. Say, so Ryan, I really loved your interview was awesome. Thank you so much. That doesn't mean anything. You're cheerful and I wasn't paying attention. Now, Ryan, on the third question you asked Bill, when you brought up the thing about the integration of impact as opposed to, creativity, that really exposed something that I think a lot of us miss. So I really appreciate you driving into the question with that kind of clarity. Now, how often do people talk to you like that, Ryan?
Not quite often. Yes.
Almost never. So all you have to do to be a super complimentary person is listen carefully and give people detailed, granular feedback. And step one of the design process is empathy, meaning I'm listening very carefully. If all you chose to do at the office to transform your work, you are now going to be the specific, granular, detailed, positive feedback provider. Everybody's going to be crazy about you in about a month.
So detail is the important part.
Details. Granularity goes to authenticity.
I see.
Means I was listening to you. I know you care. I can, I want relatedness. And yet we have a stiff culture. Well, fine. I'm allowed to notice your work. So notice their work and make a specific personal comment about it in detail. Evaluate, when somebody writes a good email, don't just say, nice email. Paragraph 3, the way you said this one thing, that was brilliant. Nicely done.
3, okay.
That makes a huge difference.
Excellent. Yeah. Great.
People are going across the street. It used to be just for more money. Now it's for more money and for more meaning. So this issue really is rolling slowly across the entire globe. Different cultures are receiving it very differently, but it's a human problem. And so the change is we're not putting up with it anymore.
It's going to be more disrupted, in the future, and technology is changing faster. And then there's AI is coming and jobs are changing. So the job world is changing rapidly. I believe the only logical approach is to stop trying to plan and control your future and design your future, because the circumstances will change, but then but you're more resilient because you can redesign for the circumstances. Designer's mindset is one that embraces AI is coming. Well, I think that's really interesting.
Reality is the only place it can get better because that's where your life actually is. So if you want things to get better, you got to get here first.